Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to start everything off by saying thank you to anybody who tuned into the podcast yesterday. I have been wanting to do this for a really long time. Anything that involves wrestling is passion to me. I've loved wrestling ever since I was super little, probably before I could even make a real thought. So this means a lot to me, and it means a lot that everybody reached out yesterday and gave good feedback, so I just want to thank you all. Also to anybody who reached out on Twitter that gave me good feedback as well. The Good Guy, or it's the Good Cop, Bad Cop podcast. I really want to thank them for giving me some words of encouragement. So, yeah, I just wanted to start everything off by saying thank you. So, let's get right into this. Okay, before I get into the main topic today, I just want to mention a few things. I feel like it's mandatory for me to mention a few things before I get into a main topic every day. There's things that happen in wrestling every single day. What do you know? Imagine that. And yesterday, some things happened in wrestling that was pretty interesting. One of them being Paul White, better known as Big Show or The Giant from WCW, WWF, WWE. He jumped ship to AEW. I woke up to that information and was astonished. Big Show's been with WWE since 1999. He, I don't believe, has ever had much of a lull in his WWE contract, other than maybe when they sent him down to OVW early 2000s to lose a little weight. But that's OVW. That was their developmental area. So it is pretty crazy to see someone that has the tenure with WWE just leave and quote unquote jump ship. I would say this is a big win for AEW. I saw that they are also starting their first Monday night show on YouTube. It's going to be another AEW Dark, but the way they've been putting out Dark episodes, they're 2 hours, 2.5 hours. It's constant wrestling. I enjoy AEW Dark a lot. I recommend it to everybody listening. And the first place you're going to see Paul White is going to be Monday on AEW Dark. I forget what it's called. That's awful, but it's new, so I'm not gonna beat myself up over it. But the new Monday night AEW Dark show, Paul White will be commentating with Tony Schiavone, so I'm definitely going to be watching that, and I am very excited. Secondly, I was expecting this, but at the same time, I thought they might drag this out a bit because I know how WWE is. Undisputed Era finally is done. With the main event that I had mentioned on the last episode being Pete Dunne and Finn Balor, and then at the end, the actions of Adam Cole super kicking both Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly. There's been 2 NXT Wednesday night NXT episodes since then, and this was the episode where they broke up. Adam Cole, I would say, suckered in Roderick Strong and did a classic Adam Cole move. Made him think that he was sorry, and then gave him the good old low blow and super kicked him. Like I said, can't say that I did not expect this to happen. Adam Cole is Adam Cole. It's hard to watch what he does, and as a booker, say, I want to change this. I want to change Adam Cole. Adam Cole does what he does very good, and that is be a fucking asshole. I think people kind of forgot about that for a little bit, but he's back, and I am glad. Heel Adam Cole is definitely better than bland babyface Adam Cole. Everyone's still gonna yell Adam Cole baby when the crowd comes back, no matter what he does. It doesn't fucking matter. I'm gonna scream Adam Cole baby. Like, you are too. Don't deny it. Adam Cole is better as a heel. It's like Kevin Owens, like Chris Jericho. There's just certain guys that are better at being bad guys. It's just how it is. Also, last but not least, there was a unfortunate passing in not WWE. I'm dumb. Unfortunate passing in wrestling. Josephus, aka Josephus Brody, the question mark, Joseph Hudson. He passed away, I believe it was either last night or this morning. I don't think they released any details as to what happened, which I expect. It's sad nonetheless. I remember seeing him on NWA Power with Damian Sandow. I forget what they called him on there, as the question mark. He was the karate instructor for Damian Sandow. That was a very cool and funny little storyline they did there, but nonetheless very sad. And also, he played Bruiser Brody in the Dark Side of the Ring episode. He resembled Bruiser Brody a lot, a little shorter, but he had that beard, that hair, that look to him. Definitely Bruiser Brody-esque, and definitely sad to hear about that. That is for sure. Alright, and with those topics out of the way for today, I am very excited to get to this main course, you could say, of the podcast. I'm going to tell you why I love wrestling, why I'm doing this, why wrestling means so much to me, and that's about it. Oh boy, I started watching wrestling when I was 3 or 4 years old. I vividly remember seeing Sid Vicious break his leg, watching Nitro, and I believe that was in 2001. I watched that with my granddad, and I remember them showing that on Nitro after it happened, probably 20 times in a row. Which always, that goes down in history as being one of the most absurd. Why would you show that many times on TV of a man literally just breaking his leg underneath him? It baffles me to this day. But very early memory for me seeing that. I remember watching early SmackDown episodes. I guess not early, because I definitely wasn't watching in 99. I would have been 2 years old. But definitely 2000 and 2001, I remember a few things from there. And then with that, I can say everything from about 2004 to 2008, I've got pretty good knowledge of. Because I watched every single night, every single Monday, every single Thursday or Friday, every Tuesday or whatever day WWE ECW was on. I watched a lot of TNA Impact back in the day. Once in a while I'd tune into like the ESPN I think it was classics, and they would be showing old AWA, old NWA type stuff. I loved watching anything that had to do with wrestling. I would be going to the video stores, renting anything I could possibly find that had to do with wrestling. I I was just hooked immediately. I remember watching 1998 Royal Rumble on VHS over and over and over again. The Royal Rumble match itself, the match after with Shawn Michaels and Undertaker casket match, when the casket gets lit on fire, that is embedded in my brain. I will never forget those, watching those tapes, and it's, I would say, maybe my favorite pay-per-view of all time. It's just so great to me. Anything from that time is great. Let's just be honest here. And even WCW, ECW, every bit of wrestling back then was good because there was no shortage of it. Like, everyone was feeding off of each other. Everybody had ideas and could stem off those ideas and twist them a bit and turn it into their own, and it was just tremendous for wrestling. And I can definitely see that happening now, with AEW, NJPW, ROH, WWE, anything that is wrestling right now is thriving, and it's, in my opinion, the best wrestling we've seen in a long time. With all the partnerships AEW has with Impact, with New Japan, AAA, it's pretty insane to see so many wrestlers together and all doing well and happy about it. That is pretty crazy to see. Something we haven't seen for a long time, and I hope it lasts for a long time, but I don't want to get my hopes up, and I don't want to get my hopes up that this is going to be the greatest wrestling thing to ever happen, because it could very well just go down the drain at any moment. And I think a lot of people can understand that. But besides that, I'll talk about current state of wrestling in a bit, but like I said, I watched wrestling when I was so young, remembering being out to eat with my grandparents and it being a Thursday or Friday night and worrying about if I'm going to get back home in time to watch SmackDown. Like that type of stuff I remember so much. I remember getting into video sharing sites and finding wrestling that I'd never seen before. That was, then I'm discovering wrestling on my own. I'm finding things that I'm interested in, rather than just coming across on TV because that's what's TV friendly. I saw ECW stuff for the first time, XPW stuff for the first time, CZW stuff, like hardcore stuff. I saw at a super young age, and I was like, what the fuck am I watching? I was like, it's like disturbed for a little kid, but now I'm so happy I was exposed to that, because Japanese wrestling and that, like, I'm not so much deathmatch. I don't so much like deathmatch wrestling, but the Japanese wrestling, when it comes to their type of deathmatch, is very interesting to me, and it intrigues me a lot. When it comes to, like, figures, wrestling figures, magazines, anything that I could buy wrestling wise, that was it for me. I remember being babysitted. That's a good thing to say on a podcast, English people. I'm leaving it too, who cares. I remember being babysat by my mom's friends' sons, and they loved wrestling. They had so many wrestling figures, and I would just shuffle. I would be rifling through all their figures, just like I wanted them all. I wanted to play with them all, and it was just so cool. And that was when I knew just wrestling is just so fucking cool with the figures, with anything that comes with it. It's just a fucking riot. It's awesome, and I don't think anybody can really deny that. Trying to think here, because there's so much I want to kind of go in a real order of my age. I'm going to like grocery stores with their magazines, and I would just sit there while my grandparents or my mom would shop, and I would just be reading the magazines, PWI, the Raw magazine, any of the wrestling magazines they had, Wrestling Observer, anything. I was going through it. I wanted to learn about everything. I learned about ROH through those magazines. I learned about so many champions that I now see on TV, or did see on TV. Samoa Joe, CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan. Those type of guys are, I was exposed to at a very, very young age when they were nothing. Not nothing, but to the indie scene, they were everything. But to somebody that's just a casual wrestling fan, especially a kid, I had no idea who these guys were. And now they're like the building blocks to what wrestling is now. The indie guys from the early 2000s and the mid 2000s, to me, are, I think, the most vital part of what wrestling is today, and what it's, at least what's left of wrestling today. It's weird to say that, but like, those guys wrestled, and there's some guys now that their persona or their promos or something like that's more important than them learning how to wrestle and make a good match or lead a match. That's just my opinion. I don't know if anybody else agrees with it, but that's just what I see and how I feel. But definitely those guys, especially AJ Styles, I've almost left him out. AJ Styles, Homicide. There's a lot of guys that paved the way for current wrestling, and I think that was just possibly the last time we saw amazing wrestling. Like I said earlier, we've got a resurgence, you could say, but that those ROH days when you had just the prestige of the champions, I think that was a very important time in wrestling. Probably one of the last true important points of wrestling. Yeah. And a few, I'm trying to think of memories here, like Undertaker, I mentioned in the casket match, Undertaker tombstoning Hulk Hogan on the chair with Ric Flair's help to win the title for the first time. I love that. Stone Cold Steve Austin's 2001 Royal Rumble performance, also with Kane's performance in that match. That's probably my favorite Royal Rumble match. Sting at an early age was huge for me. I loved Sting. Just something about Sting to me was the coolest when I was a kid. And that's just, I think everybody thought Sting was the fucking shit, even after late 80s, early 90s Sting, awesome. Late 90s Sting, that's goated Sting. I don't care what anybody says. He may not have wrestled as much, but that's when you knew, like, this is Sting. Like, that's my favorite Sting for sure. And I can say that a lot of people probably agree with me on that. But like I said, I have so many memories of wrestling that it's hard to pinpoint a few and go into chronological order, or somewhat of a chronological order. But yeah, I think I'm gonna get into maybe my time away and what brought me back. But yeah, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. There's a few things that I think that I failed to mention. I don't know if I put enough emphasis on the fact that my grandfather really introduced me to wrestling. Like, I spent a lot of time bonding with him, watching wrestling. He would bribe me with, you read 2 pages of your book before we watch Raw or SmackDown or whatever. And I did. He taught me great lessons, and helped me love wrestling. I just wanted to emphasize that a little bit because that's super important to me, and that's pretty much why. But he took me to a couple wrestling shows, just like indie shows. I would never remember who was there or anything. I just remember being there. I remember one guy being really scary and like running up to me, just doing his gimmick. I remember that. I also remember before I kind of lost my love of wrestling the first time, I went to a SmackDown/ECW show with my buddy. We made a CM Punk sign. We wrote his name in big letters, and then we made the Pepsi symbol. I forget what we wrote on there. Probably like CM Punk is the best or something like that. But I'll never forget, he pointed straight at our sign, and no doubt 100% knew he was pointing at us, and we looked at each other and we were just so hype. That was a highlight for sure in my life alone. I've met Mick Foley in my life. I have a couple autographs from him. Really good story. We were in line. It was a dual signing with Mick Foley and Dick Butkus, who played for the Bears. And my granddad went to get the autograph from Dick Butkus because his line was much shorter than Mick Foley's. And by the way, my mom had not told me that we were going to meet Mick Foley. She just said, wear a wrestling shirt. We're going somewhere. And I'm like, what? Okay. So I wear a Rock t-shirt. And I get there and I realize we're about to see Mick Foley. And I'm like, Mom, you do realize I'm wearing a Rock t-shirt when I have a Mankind t-shirt. And me just being a kid, I was so mad. I was like, you should have just made me wear the Mankind t-shirt. Like, it's so funny thinking back on it, but I missed my chance, I felt like. But after my granddad got his autograph and he met Dick Butkus, he came back in line with us, and we're about to meet Mick Foley, and I'm about to get my autograph and my picture, and I believe I asked him maybe a question. I have no idea. But the lady that was kind of like moving the line along, she's telling people the whole time to hurry up. Come on, people, come on. And she's being rude, just being very rude. And my granddad, being the way he is, former Marine, once a Marine, always a Marine, you know the saying. He, very blunt, very vocal, not afraid to tell anybody how he feels. But he heard the lady, and I think it was either the person in front of us or us that she was telling us to hurry, and he just yelled, I think it goes, move him out, or round him up, move him out, rawhide, or something like that. He yelled the rawhide saying, and he yelled it loud, and Mick Foley kind of looked up, and he, with this fucking huge smile on his face, and he kind of laughed, and he goes, yeah, I like that. And I'll never forget that, because just my granddad being who he was, the man he is, he never he never let anything stop him, and he got the recognition of someone who I look up to as a hero. So two of my heroes, my granddad being almost acknowledged by another one of my heroes. That was kind of cool to me at a very young age. Going back to the buddy that I went to the WWE ECW show with, we used to jump on his trampoline with my wrestling buddies, Goldberg, Macho Man, and Sting being the three. And we would do a little backyard wrestling of our own. Definitely not safe. I don't recommend doing that. We found some ladders. We would jump off the ladder onto the trampoline. I remember very vividly doing an RKO off the ladder and my top side going farther than my legs and landing on my neck on the trampoline. If I would have landed on the ground, no doubt I'd have broke my neck. I was probably like 10. So, good thing I was not on the ground. But yeah, I remember wrestling a lot on a trampoline with my wrestling buddies. That's a big memory. But yeah, shortly after that is when I kind of just fell out of wrestling, you could say. Not like I said, I didn't want to, I didn't mean to, it just kind of happened. I always watched wrestling on YouTube during the time, but it was never current. And if it was current, it was Bubba Ray Dudley returning, or Diesel's return in the Royal Rumble, or when Devon returned with Bubba Ray and they did the ECW originals versus the Wyatt family thing. That was the only times that I would watch. Or I remember Brock Lesnar coming back in 2012. That was one of the first times after 2008 when I was like, this is interesting. Brock Lesnar just showed up. And I was a little displeased. I knew what was going on at that time with The Rock and John Cena, with the whole, this is the first time this is ever going to happen and never again. Once in a lifetime experience, The Rock versus John Cena. And then it happened again. So, just WWE doing that thing that they used to do and still do nowadays. Lie. It's lovely what they do to us. But yeah, Brock Lesnar returning in 2012 was huge. And I remember Kane coming back with his mask. That kind of sparked my interest back into wrestling, including the Bubba Ray coming back with Tommy Dreamer and Devon. That started sparking my interest a lot more. And then Undertaker lost the streak. And I was baffled. I didn't know how to take that information. Are you trying to tell me The Undertaker just lost to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania? First of all, why? Why does Brock need a push? Like, he doesn't, like, just, dude was born with a push. You know what I mean? He came out the womb with a rocket strapped to his back because he was born to be a superstar. That's just how it is. There's no elevating Brock higher than he already is, and I almost think him beating The Undertaker at WrestleMania almost de-elevated him a bit. Him having that win on the column doesn't do anything for his career other than just having it there. He has already established himself as the beast, the next big thing, the big thing. Like, that, I just didn't understand that. I still don't understand it. But even though I didn't agree with it, that also sparked my interest. I was back into wrestling, you could say, but I wasn't watching it. But I would say Sting. Sting making his official WWE debut for the first time. He'd never, ever, ever stepped foot into a McMahon ring. I think that is what really brought me back. I would watch a Raw here and there after that. And then AJ Styles. Around that same time, AJ Styles left Impact, which is something that I never thought would happen. I don't think anybody thought that was going to happen. AJ Styles was Impact. He was TNA, the homegrown talent. He's the poster boy of TNA, you could say. And then he left and went to New Japan and killed it. He had absolute just fire matches with Kota Ibushi, with Shinsuke, and the names go on. It's absolutely insane what he just took the shot and said, I'm leaving. You guys are not doing what I think needs to happen. Not only that, but you guys are not utilizing me to my potential or paying me enough. And he took the chance and went to Japan. Man, he joined the Bullet Club, and that shit turned into the biggest wrestling endeavor, whatever you want to call it, the biggest thing in wrestling since fucking NWO and DX. You saw Bullet Club everywhere. You could watch an NBA game on TV and there's somebody in the crowd with a Bullet Club shirt on. Like, Bullet Club became larger than life. And that was the chance AJ took, was either completely just shitting the bed or creating that almost mystique of AJ Styles. Like, this guy is... He was the best bout machine before Kenny Omega was the best bout machine. AJ Styles put on the best matches out of a lot of people in wrestling. And then he was kicked out of Bullet Club. And at that time, I was really paying attention to Bullet Club and AJ in Japan. His match with Shinsuke at Wrestle Kingdom, when Bullet Club turned on him, I knew how that went. When AJ debuted at NJPW after Finn Balor or Prince Devitt got kicked out of Bullet Club, he went to NXT. And when that happened, everyone thought, holy shit, AJ's about to go to NXT. There was memes about him getting his name changed. I forget what they said, but it was a funny name. And I thought, if AJ Styles is sent to NXT, that will be the biggest mistake in history. You literally have the best wrestler in the world on your hands now. You just signed probably the best wrestler since Ric Flair. And you want to tell me that you think he's about to go to NXT? There is no chance. No chance that's happening. And I stood by that. And I remember the first pay-per-view I watched when I had the WWE Network was the 2016 Royal Rumble. Number 1, Roman Reigns. Number 2, I have no fucking idea, but number 3 was AJ Styles. He came out and I stood up. I could not believe it. I knew he was signed, but I just wrapping my head around AJ Styles walking out to a sold-out crowd at WWE Royal Rumble. was mind-boggling to me. I couldn't believe it. And that was the point I got back into wrestling. I was like, this is getting a lot better now. I'm enjoying what I'm watching. We have good wrestlers. There's people being trained. I think the start of NXT is really what did it, because you've got guys being trained now. You got the PC. Like, it's hard to not get good wrestlers when you have these world-renowned trainers getting the job done. There's going to be some that suck, but there's a lot that came out of NXT's first couple seasons that now are, I mean, everybody knows who they are. So I think NXT really pumped up WWE's product and put it back where it needed to be. Maybe not back where it was, but back where it should be in being that. I mean, it should be the best wrestling show on TV, or just bar none. I mean, the money that comes into WWE is incredible. So why shouldn't they have the best wrestlers and the best TV and best production? Like, that should be that way. And it's not, but it's definitely close to being the best. It's competing to be the best. But NXT, in my opinion, I think NXT's pay-per-views are better than WWE's pay-per-views. Not that they're any different because they're in the same company, but NXT has certain things that the main roster pay-per-views don't. And I don't understand that, but it's how it is. One thing that I do regret about missing all those years, missing CM Punk, missing everything that he did with John Cena, Brock, Big Show, the little cult thing that he did. That was all, I missed all of that, and that was probably the best of those years, was him sort of being the leader of the company and taking it where it needs to be. Yeah, I missed all that. I definitely regret that. But it is what it is. I mean, we got the network, right? I can just go back and watch it. But it's also a big task when you can just say on YouTube, CM Punk highlights. Can I watch? I'll just watch a 15-minute video. And there you go. You got you got everything you need right there. So we're here. We're pretty much in current day wrestling. I mean, I went through just about everything I can remember. I'm sure there's stuff I'm going to remember after this, but wrestling's been a part of my life for pretty much all of it. There's only a few years that I didn't know what wrestling was. And thanks to YouTube, thanks to the network and everything that I have access to that provides wrestling content, I cannot be grateful enough to that, because if none of that existed, wrestling would be long gone out of my life, and that would suck dearly. I would have to find something else. I'd have to watch fucking golf all the time or something like that. There's no way that would happen, but yeah, you get it. I think I've already kind of covered it, but the state of wrestling now is, it's good, but it's different. It's something that a lot of people haven't seen before. AEW is doing something that is, it's definitely going to be down in history as a seriously important point of wrestling, where you've got I think it's 5 or 6 companies that are working together to make a wrestling product, whether it be their own or helping another company or just everything in that type of sense. Even if it was just the Impact and AEW partnership, that alone is mind-blowing. I still remember Don Callis getting that interview after he helped Kenny Omega beat Jon Moxley for the AEW title, and he said, "Watch on Tuesday on Impact." And I was like, he really just said that. This is really about to happen. And then them showing up in Bullet Club t-shirts on Impact, I couldn't believe it. I was like, we are about to see New Japan get into this too. And then Kenta showed up on AEW in a Bullet Club shirt. And all of that is so exciting to me. And I think it should be exciting to all wrestling fans, because the endless possibilities that we have out of this are immense. I cannot stress that enough. I understand why WWE doesn't do things like this, but at the same time, I don't. I think the best thing for WWE right now is to get their hands on another company that is willing to do business with them and create a partnership. AEW's kind of getting them all. They're wrangling them all together because WWE's fucked a lot of companies over the years. And who wants to do business with a company that might just buy them out or suffocate them because that's what they're known for? I don't blame them. But AEW getting that firepower behind them, along with all these other companies getting the firepower of AEW behind them, I think is tremendous for wrestling and tremendous for the motivation of WWE to make the best product that they could and should have. Yeah, that's just it. I think the current wrestling is good. I think it could be better, especially on WWE's side. But you look at NXT, and NXT's putting out the best wrestling in WWE right now. So we just got to see how it works. The partnership with AEW, TNA, Impact Wrestling, NJPW, I think Pro Wrestling Noah's in there. I think AAA is in there. There's a couple other ones. This could all turn into a shit show. It could not work. That's why people don't do this type of thing. Why companies don't do this type of thing. Because a lot of times it doesn't. But right now it's working. And it's working well. And I am very excited to see what comes of it. So I think I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that for today. We went over a lot. And there's going to be a lot more we go over. I want to do more episodes like this. I definitely want to hear feedback. I want questions. I want you guys to DM me, ask me certain questions. Maybe you don't know something about wrestling, you want to learn, and I'll talk about it. If you have a favorite wrestler that you want me to talk about, I'll talk about them. I'm going to try to save the more popular ones for later on, like, say, Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin, Undertaker, Randy Savage, those type of guys. I'm going to say that for later on. I want to do a little bit more, not lesser known guys, but I want to talk about guys like Mr. Perfect, or Yokozuna, or Rob Van Dam. Like, guys that aren't the faces of what you would say is their company, but definitely focal points and super important pieces of wrestling in general. I want to talk about those guys first, because those are the most interesting subjects that that just interest me. Interesting subjects that interest me. So, yeah. I want to thank everybody for listening. Thank everybody for listening so much. Like, you don't understand. I hope that you are ready for another episode, because I sure am. I haven't really figured out what I'm going to do. It may be another review or not. I might do something else like this. But yeah, let me know what you think. I want to hear from you guys. And thank you. I'll be hearing from you guys another time. Hey, there's one last thing I wanted to mention. There's a couple shout-outs that I wanted to give. Once again, I'm going to try to do shout-outs every episode. If you want a shout-out, we'll figure something out to do. If somebody wants like a personal shout-out, you can donate on the links that I have on my Twitter pages, my Instagram, and also my Spotify and Anchor profile. There's a link to where you can donate if you want to. I'm good either way. If you don't, I don't care. I just like that you guys are here listening, so that's all that counts for me. But maybe we can figure out something with that to get like some shout outs. But right now I want to give a shout out to my closer friends right now, because they are the ones that are motivating me to do this the most. And that's a big importance to me, are the people close to me, backing me and motivating me. So I want to give everybody that is close to me a shout out, and you know who you are. So other than that, 2 big shout outs to some subscription services that I have, and this is just because I actually love these, and recommend them to anybody that wants wrestling merchandise but doesn't want to go out and spend an arm and a leg on getting something. There's 2 mystery boxes that I get every month, one of them being Pro Wrestling Crate. And just this last month, for the February crate, I got 2 t-shirts, a Kazuchika Okada shirt and a Cody Rhodes shirt, a retro Owen Hart micro brawler in his retro Japanese attire, a deathmatch compilation DVD, a Bully Ray exclusive pin, a Macho Man Randy Savage brawler sock, which is Macho King, and then a Warhorse ruler. And every single one of these crates come with a signed 8x10, a legitimate autographed 8x10. This one came with Teddy Long. The one that I got last month was IRS. These are awesome. The Pro Wrestling Crate costs around $35. But if you don't like the t-shirt, or you don't like the micro brawler, or anything in this, you can sell it and pretty much just make your money back on the crate. Like, if you know anything about graphic t-shirts, especially wrestling t-shirts, they sell for like $25 to $40. It's sometimes less than that, just because of who it is, but they're pretty expensive. And these micro brawlers are also highly sought after. This Owen Hart micro brawler is probably one of the first figures Owen Hart's ever had since the mid-90s, when he had Bone Crunchers for WWF. So there's certain things that they put out that are very, very awesome, and anybody that's a wrestling fan will find something in it that they love. And secondly, today I received my Pro Wrestling Loot Box, which is a different crate. This one's a little bit cheaper. It's about $25 a month. It's actually under $25 a month. But this comes with like the same type of thing, the same idea. We've got these are called pint-size all-star figures, which they're literally just micro brawlers, just a different name. But we got a Bobby Fulton all-star figure. We got a Sabu t-shirt, a signed 8x10 by Daga, wrestling comic book called Warhausen, which is like a cross between Warhorse and Danhausen, which is awesome. We got a pin, Human Tornado pin, and we got a signed Ryan Kidd trading card. This stuff is awesome. This is another crate where, say you don't like the t-shirt, say you don't know who the autograph is, or the pint size all-star, you can sell these things and make your money back on the box. I highly recommend everybody to get this. This is a shameless plug because I actually love these items, and I will continue to get these for a long time. So I just wanted to shout my friends out, the crates that I get, and anybody else in the future. We'll figure out a way to get some shout outs out, and yeah, we'll keep this going. Once again, thank you for tuning in, and thank you for continuing to support, and I hope that I can give you guys the entertainment and the wrestling podcast that you guys are looking for.